Welcome everybody. The purpose of this short video is to get you acquainted with the equipment that we'll be using in lab. Parkland owns two of these portable nitrous oxide and oxygen sedation units. I took a picture of one. I went to the back of L157. They're stored in a locked cabinet in the back of the room, so I rolled it out onto the floor in the back of the room there. And the parts that I want to go over are the yoke stand, which is this metal stand, has 4 wheels on it for easy maneuvering. We have oxygen tanks on the right side. They're green. It's really important to know what color the tanks are so that you can easily identify what's inside or which gas is inside the tank by their color. This little black wrench that's hanging from the front oxygen tanks, and you can see that there's 2 tanks here. The little black wrench is actually the tool that we use to open the tanks at the top. There's a gauge that is associated with the oxygen tanks on the right side. Then if we go to the left side, we've got 2 nitrous oxide tanks. And you can see that color is blue. The reason that we have 2 tanks on each side of the unit is you always want a backup tank. You never want to run out of either gas in the middle of a procedure. Then we have the hoses. My little cursor went. Hoses, white hoses. One hose allows the gases to flow in. The other hose is responsible for taking the exhaled gas away. Then we have the reservoir bag. This gray bag right here. This holds a supply of oxygen, and the bag is also used to monitor the patient's respirations. Then we have the scavenging system connector, which is in the back. It's a little bit harder to see, but the connector is back here. This little connector hooks up to the high-speed suction that's on the assistant arm on the dental unit. So we attach the high-speed suction to the back of that, and that's what takes away the exhaled nitrous oxide. So it's really, really important. I can't stress enough how important this hookup and turning it on is. If you don't have the scavenging system hooked up and turned on, the patient can very quickly and easily become oversedated. The other thing that happens is the clinician's breathing zone can be contaminated with nitrous oxide because it's not being taken away. So you should never administer nitrous oxide and oxygen sedation without the scavenging system hooked up and turned on. And I just want to mention before I move on, these tanks, especially the nitrous oxide tank, looks pretty beat up. And that's not because of mishandling on our part. We actually rent the tanks and pay to have them filled by a local company. And so whatever the company delivers to us, those are the tanks that we'll have. Sometimes they look newer, sometimes they look like they've been used for several times. I'm not sure what the life of a tank is, but I just wanted to point that out, that they don't look brand new, but that's the company. All right, and then if we get a close-up view of the flow meter and the dials, I'm only going to point out the components that you'll be activating. The oxygen flow meter tube, I can get my cursor again. Okay, so that's on this side. This actually, there's a little silver ball in this tube that rises and will let you know in liters how much oxygen you're administering. And this flow control valve is what actually turns on the oxygen flow. On the left side, we've got the nitrous oxide flow meter tube, and again, a little tiny silver ball is in this tube, and it rises as nitrous is delivered so that you know exactly in liters how much you are administering to the patient. And this dial is actually, this mixture dial is actually the one that, how you start the flow of nitrous oxide. And then the O2 flush button, you push this, that fills the reservoir bag with oxygen. And I think that's all I wanted to show you on that slide. Okay, so another piece of equipment that you'll need is a nose piece. At Parkland we use disposable nose pieces. I enlarged a picture of just a small white disposable nose piece that we have. They actually come in small, medium, and large, depending on the needs of your patient. This is the back side. This is the front side. You can see it's still wrapped in plastic. That's how it comes shipped to us. And on each side of this nose piece, you'll see a little connector piece, and that fits onto the hoses on the unit. And it fits pretty easily. What I love about this picture is that this puts everything together for us. So you can see the clinician looking at the equipment that is behind the patient and over the patient's left shoulder. So the clinician can look directly at that flow meter. She can see the little silver balls where they are. She can also monitor the patient at the same time, so everything's in her direct line of vision. You can see that the patient's relaxed. You can see how the nose piece fits on the patient's face. This one just happens to be blue instead of white. So I really like this image. I thought it was a nice image to pull it all together, what it looks like when actually the patient's in the chair. The only thing, if somebody's really particular about looking at this, if you look at the reservoir bag, it's a dark colored bag. It's really deflated. It's almost completely collapsed, and usually during sedation it will be usually about halfway full. It'll be enlarged a little bit more. That one's pretty collapsed. Okay, so let's review a little bit. So what color is the oxygen tank? I'll give you a minute. Not even a minute. I'll give you about 10 seconds. All right, so if you pick green, you're right. Oxygen tank is green. Nitrous is blue. Next question. How many tanks total should be attached to the portable machine? Again, another few seconds. All right, well, if you picked 4, that's correct. You should always have 2 oxygen tanks and 2 nitrous tanks. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks for watching.